All right, I just wrapped up Cobra Kai, and I wrote an article on this about how the series really exemplified right-wing Christian values, and that's why it resonated so much with pretty much everybody. That is what real heroism is. That is what good storytelling is, and when you have that, and you have those elements in a show, you're going to win. So there will be spoilers to this. This is kind of my review of the final part of the series. I'll talk about it from a structural standpoint as well, but I really want to get into the messaging of Cobra Kai and just how wonderfully done this was from day one to everything that was out there, and which we'll talk about today. Please hit the like and subscribe button, everybody. Join us here. And this is my Fandom Pulse Substack. If you want to read my writing and the like, please sign up here. It's in the description below. I'm a science fiction and fantasy professional writer by trade, and so I do analyze a lot of this stuff from the writing perspective as well. Really hope you'll check out my books and the like, and I appreciate you for being here. So, Cobra Kai just finished its run with the third part of its Season 6 dropping last week, and the ending of the show wrapped up a nearly perfect handling of a 1980s nostalgia revival of The Karate Kid, with a fantastic conclusion exemplifying Christian values, which is what made the show great. Now, I will immediately just throw a little shade at Netflix. Putting this into 3 parts, oh my gosh, that was painful. Don't do that again. Just put it all out at once, or put it week by week with one episode. Do one of those, but like this in-between sort of thing was just awful to deal with. You get 5 episodes. It's kind of these mini arcs in there they build. And the way that this season was structured, it was a little bloated. You probably could have cut 2 or 3 episodes, and I think they extended it just because they wanted to try this format and do this 3 times. So they wanted 5 episodes each time. I really think if they would have cut 2-3 episodes out of it, it would have been a little smoother, would have been nicer, and would have been great. It ended up really, really good anyway. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I thought the finale was fantastic. But it did get a little over bloated with that whole setup right there. And the first couple episodes of each of these, mini arcs ended up being a lot slower than the conclusion episodes, which, just killed the suspense a little bit at times. Now, it did build up, and it did build up wonderfully, and we did get a great conclusion, which I'll get into here. Now, Cobra Kai really did things right from the beginning. When it first arrived on YouTube, it was a breath of fresh air in the streaming television environment. Every show used to feature a black disabled lesbian pushing the leftist woke agenda. Despite the premiere episode being titled Ace Degenerate, the show was anything but degenerate. It was oddly wholesome, even with all the swearing and fighting themes. It set up a reverse of the Karate Kid, where Johnny Lawrence, the original villain from the movie, was down on his luck for decades after the All Valley Karate Tournament, and it broke him because Daniel LaRusso utterly upended his alpha male high school life, which was all about winning. He lost everything: the tournament, the respect of his sensei father figure Kreese, and even the girl who went to LaRusso. LaRusso ended up just having a wonderful life because of it all. Fast forward decades later, he's a deadbeat, can't even raise his own son, no direction is in his life. His luck starts to change when he realizes Cobra Kai is the thing he loved, and he wants to regain discipline, the first step to what's an inherently Christian and right-wing theme of the show, which is what makes it great. And this is where it all starts. You have a guy who is on a redemption arc. The redemption arc is exactly what the Christian message is. If you don't know the message of Christ, we've all sinned, fell short of the glory of God. We all can hit bottom, and we all have the ability to recover. And no matter how far you go, no matter how deep it is, no matter how bad it is, you always have that ability to come back to God and to make your life better and make your life something that gives glory to Him, and therefore fixes everything. And that is a wonderful message. That is an inherently Christian message. It doesn't work anywhere else, and it definitely happened within the show here. We saw a lot of problems in Johnny's life, and every time he tried to get prideful, every time he tried to get arrogant, it knocked him down a peg, and every time he kind of let go and tried to live that life where he's actually changing himself for the better, it was a win. And he changes himself by the better, by very masculine ideas. He's problem solving throughout the entire thing. How are we going to win this tournament? What's the best way to do so? I have to figure out the solutions to that. How are we going to defeat Kreese? How are we going to defeat Silver? That is the stuff that we are solving. It's problem solving is a very male sort of deal with a very male character who was an alpha who fell. And then he kind of regained his alphadom over the course of the series. He became the leader that he knew he could be, and that's the beauty of it. And so that is a wonderful story. Like I said, very masculine, very Christian, and so it's very right wing as a result of this whole deal. So this whole series went along, and he trained the next generation. He ended up becoming a better father to his son, who he neglected. He kind of adopted the guy Miguel and helped him out too. And so he took himself and entered into a father role, which is exactly what a middle-aged man should do, and it's great. And on the flip side, you have LaRusso, who after he was the villain who he had to be defeated and all that. If you look at LaRusso's life, he's the ultimate father and family man. He takes care of his children. He teaches them a physical discipline. He teaches them to be smart, cares for them without reservation. He's dedicated to his wife, doesn't even think of any temptation away from her. He's got a successful business. He runs it by himself as the leader. He continues his passion and discipline for Miyagi-Do and passes along tradition to the next generation. This is an inherently right-wing conservative concept right here. LaRusso really exemplifies it even more than Johnny in a lot of ways. Johnny gets the redemption arc. He shows the Christ element of things, like in how Christ can change you. And then LaRusso really just shows what the archetypal masculine person should be. It's really beautiful. That's why this show resonates so much. And I think that Netflix doesn't understand it. I don't think YouTube, who originally had it, understood it, why that sort of thing works so well. But that is exactly what people want to see. They want to see heroes be heroes. They want to see men pick things up from the pieces and actually just become better than what they were before. And they want to see them win. And that's it. And that is exactly what the show taught this entire way around. So this last part of the series, these last 5 episodes, it starts kind of weird. Kreese finally gets out of his evil ways. He's working with this Asian dojo, and he just kind of steps off to the side. Meanwhile, Silver comes back and he says, hey, I want to restart the karate tournament for all ages. And we learn that his motivation is he's dying of cancer and he wants one last win before he dies, right? And so those guys are kind of in a different pickle. And then meanwhile, Johnny and LaRusso are kind of miserable, even though they're living their lives, because they've abandoned their passion. They abandoned teaching the next generation, and they just kind of quit because of this tragic event that happened in the second part of the deal. They really wanted to get back into it, and then what's beautiful is Daniel's wife actually encourages him to get back into it, and daughter, and they actually encourage him, and this is, again, a wonderful feminine trait, encouraging the man to go back and to take action. Something, again, femininity is not something that's used a lot in modern sort of deals, but if you look at Daniel's wife in this, she is the support structure. She is the person who's designed to be somebody who is helping him in his masculinity. And so she helps him with the business. She helps him keep it going throughout the entire show. She stands with him. She wants him to succeed. She wants him to pursue this passion, to pursue this tradition so that he can win. And it's a beautiful thing watching this over the beginning of this season. Now, once they get back into the tournament, it's kind of silly. And this is the thing. The first couple of seasons were really great on YouTube. Netflix took it over. It jumped the shark a little bit. They added a bit of ridiculousness to it as they kind of soap operaed things a bit. Oh, now he's fighting with Johnny again. Now they're friends again. Now they're fighting again. Now the kids are fighting again. Now they're back together. And the soap opera element just dragged on a little bit too long, and that's fine because this is just the way that the seasons work. Unfortunately, when you get picked up for one season as a show and then you got to wrap all your storylines up, you kind of get to a point where these shows can't last multiple seasons very well because of that, because you always have to one up the next season. And well, what are you going to do? Well, he's already won the All Valley. We already had the second season climax. We already had the All Valley comeback. Well, now we already had the whole Cobra Kai. Is it going to die as a dojo? Well, now we've got the massive tournament of the world, right? And it does extend a little too much. And they went back to that tournament multiple times, right? Again, too much. Which again is just the structure of streaming. The writers did the best they could, I think, under those circumstances. There is some cheesy stuff in it, and honestly, in season 3. When Netflix took it over, they tried to introduce the woke elements. And this is, again, a little bit based in the way that this was handled because it got put in there. They turned one of the girls into a bisexual. They brought in an annoying Asian girl to lecture Johnny on pronouns and the like, try to get him a little more with the ways of the world. Now, Johnny handled it by just telling her to shut up, basically. Now, that character stopped doing that, and the bisexual girl stopped doing that. They understood that the audience didn't want that, and even though they tried to throw it in there during that period where they thought that the whole culture was going that way, right? They got rid of it before everybody else did. So when you get into season 5 and season 6, all that's gone, and it's beautiful. I love that went away. That was the one failing of the show in season 3, season 4. You don't see that at all here. Season 6, the conclusion was very tight, very clean. And at the end of this, the last couple episodes were just frankly brilliant. And this is, again, where it exemplifies all these values once again. The kids fight for things. The evil team does evil. They actually break or dislocate Robbie's leg to make it so he can't fight at the end of it. So Miguel has to step in. And they have some interesting twists that are kind of like, it's a little over the top on the twisty thing, but it works. And it was really entertaining. And the big matches were very suspenseful as a result. And so Cobra Kai ends up, spoiler everybody, tying things. And to finish thing off, again in a silly twist, they have the sensei, Johnny Lawrence, fight off against the evil dojo that Silver's helping with in order to win the championship. And so the tie is going to be broken by the sensei's fighting. So Johnny gets his ultimate redemption arc on the same mat that he lost in the original Karate Kid. It literally ties all that in a beautiful structural way. It tied in the first episode as well when he was starting Cobra Kai, and he has to fight for that victory against all odds, and he has to dig deep for himself and figure out how to win in a very masculine way to do it again and to win for Cobra Kai. And it's beautiful. And the way it ends and the way he sets it up is great. Now, there's another really based part about all of this that happened within this season is Johnny and his girlfriend here are having a baby, and he got her pregnant. This is really, I've never seen anything like this on a Netflix show. Her mother, who's like presented as like the Latina grandmother who barely speaks English, doesn't speak English, comes and confronts Johnny and says, "You have to make things right with God and marry my daughter," right? And you would expect that, she would be presented as foolish, as stupid because she's traditional, etc. And Johnny doesn't argue with her. He just says, "You're right. I do need to make things right." And that's like when you saw that in there, you're like, whoa, they actually presented a deeply Catholic Christian woman as correct, and that he does need to make that move, and he does need to support his family by doing that. So based. And so again, he gets another redemption by going to a church and going to his buddy who's a minister and making sure he does make that right. Very, very cool on that level. And so she's presented as actually wise, as actually doing the right thing, pushing Johnny in the right direction as a support character, as a female again. Wonderful stuff, which I was just so shocked to see that they just went through with that and didn't like denigrate that woman at all. It was amazing. And that was one of the best moments of the show for me. The next big redemption part of this was at the end where, there's been so many twists and turns. Kreese just ends up being evil and doing more evil things. In this, at the very end of the show, what he ended up doing was Johnny and him talked like right before his sort of bout and all that. And he actually apologized to Johnny for what he did in Karate Kid, apologized for everything he did. And Johnny accepted it and forgave him. So not only is Johnny a redemption arc himself, where he got his forgiveness and he actually redeemed himself by his masculine values, he then forgave his mentor who caused all these problems to begin with. So, forgive us our trespasses, and as we forgive those who trespass against us. That's exactly, Johnny like literally lived the Christian archetype here. It's so beautiful. It's so well done. These character arcs are perfect, and I'm very, very pleased with the end of this. So like I said, there were too many twists. There were some silly parts. Almost everybody got good endings. Johnny ended up buying a house for his family, which is again just a beautiful ending for him. LaRusso sees his daughter off to college. Robbie and the Tory girl end up getting some sports deal and going out there. Now I got to say the kids were not the focus of this like last arc, barely at all, and so it's kind of sad because like you really wanted to see Miguel and Robbie become like the next Karate Kids and like really be the stars of the show. But they'd already like kind of finished those guys' arcs ahead of time, and that's kind of again the nature of the format of them getting another season after not sure if they were going to do it. They kind of finish those stuff off just because of the streaming format, which is a problem. But again, everybody kind of got happy endings. Miguel's ending up going to Stanford. And so, just a beautiful, beautiful homage to Karate Kid. And they did it right. They showed stuff. Another part in this, which I felt was kind of cringy in the first couple of episodes, just to throw a little criticism there, was they brought back Mr. Miyagi and like some vision for Daniel. Like they had like a quote reunion. And that actor's been dead for a while, and it was a CGI thing. And it was a dream that he had. So, this was a very realistic show to start. Once it got into Netflix, they kind of added some supernatural-y type stuff like that, which is so unnecessary. I didn't think they needed that whatsoever. And I thought that, you could have left that kind of stuff out. That's again, if they would have just shortened this by a few episodes and not done this format for this like 5-5-5 for the season finale, they could have had a little bit of a better on that front. Overall, like I said, the first couple of seasons of Cobra Kai are 10 out of 10 phenomenal. It loses its way a little bit in the middle with some woke stuff that brings it down to about a 7 out of 10. And I think these last two seasons, even though there's some over-the-top elements that are cheesy and things like that, is an 8.5 out of 10. So solid move from Netflix, an excellent presentation of conservative and Christian values. That's the lesson they should learn here. If you bring masculine heroes and put conservative Christian values into shows, you have a hit on your hands. Simple as that. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.